I've always wanted one of these. Are you kinky and curious? Welcome to another episode of BSing with Barak and Sheba.
I'm Barak.
And I'm Sheba, and we're going to answer your kinky questions.
The little things that count, not only in everyday life, but in the kink world also. And some of those little things we're going to be talking about tonight. How to please your partner, how to create a new expression, a new connection with your partner, and how to dominate your partner.
We're going to teach them how to dominate their partner.
We're not going to teach him. We're going to give him advice and suggestions.
Okay. Let's take our first question. Because I was just talking about my toy. Mm-hmm. Let's take the question that's about toys.
Sure. Let's take a question about toys.
So we got this question that said, what kinds of toys and equipment should I have when I'm brand new? How do I choose them? How do I buy them? How do I care for them? And can I make my own?
And the answer is yes.
To which of those questions are you
all of them?
Responding
all of them.
To?
You can do it all. Now, when we first started out, we were looking all over the house to find things to play with each other with.
The spatula, mm-hmm. the wooden spoons,
ropes from our car. Some. We actually used some chain.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy. We were looking all over to try to pleasure each other, and some of it really worked well, and some of it not so much.
Not so much. And do you remember our first visit to the Dom Depot?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I do. I remember our first foray. We walked in there and we were talking and we were comparing.
The Dom Depot, let's clarify that real quick, is our little term for the Home Depot.
So you can use any large box department store that is a hardware store. And we were in there, and what happened was we were looking around for rope and things to play with each other with. We were looking for one rope to tie each other up with, and we were looking for a rope to use to unlay or take apart and use as a flogger.
Wait, you got to hear about this little old man who was cutting the rope at the hardware store. It was hilarious. When Barak tells him what he's going to use the rope for, the little old man looked at him like, huh? Because Barak said, yeah, I'm going to use it to tie my wife up.
And the little old man says,
He looks at me. He looks back at him.
And says, stop fooling around.
Right. And
then just goes back. And I was standing there. We were both standing there. Yes, we're serious.
Yeah, he absolutely did not believe us.
When you're brand new, I would experiment. I would take a little time. I would discover what types of toys pleasure you. Whether it's rope, whether it's an impact toy, perhaps a flogger, perhaps a paddle. And you can use makeshift. You can use what we call pervertibles. Right. Pervertibles is the term where you use common household items to create sensation with your partner.
Yeah.
You can use a spatula. You can use a frying pan.
Ooh, I might use a frying pan on you tonight.
Promises, promises.
And then once you step past that and you've decided what kinds of impacts you like or what kind of thud or sting really works for you, then you can go to the next level of actually thinking about getting some of the books that are out there, like the Better Built Bondage Book or some other things that are online. There's a lot of things on YouTube where you can see how to make your own toys. And then step up to that and go ahead and make those and give those a try before you actually start to spend your hard-earned dollars on something that's brand new, made for you, that's going to cost you, untold amounts of money. Mm-hmm. We have tons and tons of toys that we just had to have that we no longer use, that are collecting dust, that are hidden somewhere on top of some closet shelf that we're never going to use again because we tried it once thinking we're going to love this, and then we just put it away because we went on to something else.
These days, we have huge toy bags that we can bring, and we've got floggers and whips and toys and canes and blah, 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 all of it. The truth is, we desire connection. Mm-hmm. We desire playing with a partner in a way that causes and forms loving and creative sexual energy.
And I think the toys that you have on you at all times are the ones you can always fall back on. You have the best toy for kink right here between your ears. You have a couple right here, your hands, and you have some on the bottom of your legs called feet.
And you have some between your legs. Hopefully you do.
And hopefully you'll use all of those toys to connect to your partner.
Mm-hmm. So let's take another question.
What's our next question, Barak?
I have no idea. Let's
It's right here on this piece of paper.
It is. Look at this. There's a question right there.
Take that one.
So the question says, my husband and I have started filling out our fetish lists and are talking about what we want. Well, I have discovered that we are so different in our likes and dislikes. We can't seem to come to a consensus on common kinks. I'm just looking for advice on what exactly to do about this particular impasse. Here's where it's not an impasse. If you can find the hot, what I mean by that is you can discover a way to look for a kink of yours within the kink that they have. So you can create two separate kinks coming together to form a hot for both.
Yeah. Can you give an example of that?
Absolutely. I'll give an example about tonight. So, for instance, one of Sheba's kinks, as we were studying up for this particular podcast.
We call it prepping for the podcast.
We were prepping. We were fluffing for the podcast. As we were fluffing up for the podcast by having a little bit of sex. And one of the things that really gets Sheba hot is to pretend she's got a biocock.
And his biocock works for me. Kind of objectifying Barak at that point in time because he becomes...
Not a real body, but her cock.
Right, he becomes my cock.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Necessarily get hot by being objectified. However, I do get hot by being stroked. So as she's stroking me and getting herself off, that's where my hot is.
Yeah. My kink is being met. He's also receiving pleasure. And we've come to the agreement between us to please one another and to both get our needs met in that moment. Mm-hmm. So that's what we recommend that you do with your partner.
Mm-hmm. Look for the hot.
Look for the hot. Communicate to your partner what it is that you want, and then try to find what it is that you can get out of that that's hot for you.
As you may know or may not know, there are what we call fetish lists out on the web. Those fetish lists are Excel spreadsheets or worksheets that have lists that say, this is the fetish, this is the fetish, this is the fetish. I've done it, I want to do it, I'm interested, I'm not interested, never.
Yeah. Do you remember when we first started this?
I do.
It was like a 6-page list, and it had boxes that you could check mark in, and we each went to our separate rooms with our fetish list. And then we came back together, and we were amazed at how many boxes we had checked. No. Mm-hmm. And how many boxes we had checked.
Not a chance.
We have no idea what the hell that is. Mm-hmm. So we spent the rest of the night on the internet looking up, what is that?
Luckily, nowadays with the internet, we have tremendous resources to find out exactly what these fetishes mean. So if, like us, you don't know what they mean, just simply put it into your Google bar, and hopefully one of the top 5 answers will be what it really is.
Yeah, so back to the lists. What we found when we started out was we could connect to one another using these lists because we could tell each other in writing and then verbally, this kind of intrigues me and this is what I'd like to try. And hey, we checked off the same thing on this list. Check that out. We both want to try this. Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I really enjoyed doing it, and she's absolutely right. It was a great way to connect.
My husband recently told me that he wants me to dominate him. There seems to be... Only in my dreams. There seems to be a lot to learn on both sides of this coin. He has stated specifically what he wants. I just need a roadmap on how to get there. Do you have any advice?
Yes. You've already gotten half the equation. Once your partner speaks their needs, wants, and desires to you, you're already halfway there.
He stated specifically what he wants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're already halfway there because he's given you the roadmap. You're talking about wanting to find one, but he's given it to you. He said, this is what turns me on. You have to discover the way that he likes that or the way that you like to do that.
So there is a lot to learn on both sides of this coin. And when you're doing any kind of research, either online or at local events, I recommend that you talk to people who are on both sides of that coin. Find out what it is that they look for in a scene with their partner. Watch the scenes that are going on at local events. go out to kink websites, to porn websites, and see what kind of scenes are out there. And there's a lot of ways that you can find out information about being a femdom. If you go out onto Google, or if you go out onto any of the kink-related websites and start looking at the different fantasies that have to do with being a femdom, you're going to find a lot of information about how to meet your partner's needs as far as dominating a male. There are a lot of books out there as well that you can actually go out to Amazon and find. There's some really great ones. So I recommend read up, maybe even discuss what you're reading with your partner and see what it is that is the scenario that gets him hot, wet, hard, and horny.
Mm-hmm. And what you're going to find is, as you compare together, as you compare and contrast what your needs, wants, and desires are, as you talk about dominating him being dominated, you're going to find a lot of hotness comes out of that discussion itself.
Mm-hmm. So follow the hotness.
Follow the hotness.
So how can you reach us? You can find me on FetLife at Brat_Sheba. That's BRAT_SHEBA.
You could find me at BARAK at FetLife.
You can also find me on Twitter. I do the twat. And you can find me at Brat_Sheba. That's BRAT_SHEBA on Twitter and on Facebook. Or you can contact AIS_org on Twitter or Facebook.
Mm-hmm. If you want to just email us, you could email us at BARAK, the letter N, SHEBA, at AOL.com, at Yahoo, and at Gmail.
Mm-hmm. Or you can get the Adventures in Sexuality website, which is adventuresinsexuality, all one word, .org.
So thanks for listening to
another episode of BSing with Barak and Sheba.
We'll be back on the first Monday of next month.
We'll see you then.
Take care.